Now that we have those fairy energies in the room, I want to thank you for stopping at the Spiritual Corner. My name is Prism P-Chan or PZ, whatever you want to call me, and I'm going to be pulling a message from the collective. I was doing mainly readings before this, first on my original channel, which unfortunately had to be deleted, and now here I went and took a break, did a lot of fairy oracle pulls, which I'll continue after this, but once a week I'll be pulling for the collective. I want to do once a week because I want the energies to kind of move and push out. A lot of the collective is kind of going through the same thing, which is just a very big awakening that is pushing us into a new timeline. It has been quite riveting, quite just full of different lessons, and a lot of knowledge has been retained from all of our experience. So I'm hoping to pull what we could have learned, and also before I start, touch on a couple of things. If you have been going through a very deep spiritual awakening, maybe this was triggered by slander or lies that were targeted towards you because of your gifts, before you even truly knew about your gifts. Others were able to tap into that energy, and it was like you were a mirror for a lot of people. You may have felt that you were the odd one out, and that's because you are. There aren't many of us, earth angels, light workers. Actually wrote some stuff down, so I just want to make sure I'm on. Yeah, the psychics, anyone that has any clairaudience, clairsentience, so on and so forth. You have the ability to tap into a lot more than the normal person on earth, and that's not to say that everyone is normal or doesn't have any special qualities. It's just you're able to tap in, and a lot of people haven't discovered the ability that they have. But there are also levels to this. Not everyone is given the same amount of gifts. Not everyone is trusted with the same gifts. And if you are a part of my collective, you have certain gifts that really make you a target for some people. So if you dealt with this and you have dealt with death spells, this is a channel that I'm getting to relay this to you. I recently had to go through my own awakening, and it included a death spell specific. If you were living with those who were targeting you, or you were around them quite often, and maybe you heard 3 slow knocks, and then your heart would start to palpitate or just speed up, and you felt either lethargic or just like you were like almost having a heart attack, a panic attack or something. This is a what they call the slow knock spell. It's a blasphemous spell. Most people use it with a mirror. They knock on the mirrors 3 times slowly, and this triggers a portal, if you will, and will open you up to certain attacks. If you have felt this, this is just me confirming that for you, because this is something I went through, and with us being in the same collective, there's a chance that you may have dealt with something like this and you weren't sure what it was. Yes, this was an attack on you. Mainly this is to honestly cause death, but it's also a call for death in other things, your financial stability, your stability mentally. A lot of just different categories are attacked. They want the end of relationships for you. Anyone seeing you in a certain light, they're trying to dim your light. But this is me reminding you that once you are aware, that's exactly why I'm bringing this up for you guys. Once you're aware of what is being done, it can't do what it was meant to do. It's a backfire. And considering I had a lot of the same attack done over and over and over, you could say that that person built up a lot of karma for themselves. And as earth angels, as light workers, as psychics, we um, are, even healers, by the way, we are catalysts for other people to finally receive their karma. And once we walk away, once we are done with the situation, things start to happen in a certain way. So this is also me talking to you cross watchers out there that are curious on what people are listening to. They are figuring out what you're doing, okay? And this doesn't even have to be in the way that I'm describing. There is just a lot of ways that they can attack you, but this is just an example. I mean, slander is that example as well, that you know for sure happened. You were either hearing it in the ethers, whispers happening. If you're clairaudient, you were hearing it by understanding how people are moving. You know that someone isn't truly, like, they just don't like you, like you're almost able to just pinpoint it without even knowing that's your intuition going off psychic abilities. If you just like actually heard what was being said and you had a ear to the streets, you know that there's someone out there that was trying to ruin your reputation and call you crazy, call you, I don't know, lazy, call you a prostitute. I don't know. There's a lot of things that they'll go for. It's mainly all projection because they don't want to be seen as two-faced people, but you know where I'm going with this. So this is not just a confirmation, but this is also I know what you're going through. If you are just now starting your awakening process, or you're just now going through this, I know what you've been through. If you have finally been able to put this behind you, and I know how hard it is to move through this if you are in the middle of it. Just try your best to stay grounded, stay in high vibe, and continue putting all of your energy in things that you love, in things that make you happy, and in yourself. If you're not doing some introspection on yourself, if you're not playing your favorite game, if you're not singing your favorite song, which is also a form of transmuting energy, if you're not, I don't know, creating your own music and putting it out for the world to see, creation, you're not putting yourself in challenges to push yourself forward, you are opening yourself to possible attacks. But if you're doing that, you're maintaining that, it almost creates a protective barrier, and it also helps you stay distracted with the right things. You don't want to dive into substances to where that's your crutch. You don't want to put yourself in a pessimistic mood where you're thinking, I'm never going to get out of this, because you are. This is why you're in this. It's to push you forward. If anything, these idiots are getting used to be the start of your awakening, and they're almost doing you a service. So also try to change your mind and refrain from thinking that you're being punished, and look at it in the way of that. It is not easy, like I said, but it definitely helps, and it makes your mind stronger so you can fight off all this BS. If you are dealing with that exact thing I mentioned at the beginning, try to sage, pray before you go to sleep. Just do what you can to try to protect yourself. Lighting candles, incense. There was a lot of things that I did, including clearing my energy over my crown, with selenite. Selenite is a beautiful, beautiful crystal, and it is so helpful. It truly does help clear that fog, especially when you put faith into it that it will actually work. That was the beginning of how I was able to understand what was my energy and what was projection, because I was also dealing with a lot of projection, was caused me a lot of headaches, just a lot of evil eye, if you will, that pressure that is being put on your crown to make you think a certain way. But really, all it is just a training ground for you, as long as you see it that way. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the reading. I think I'm going to start off with some positive energy here and use my fairy oracle deck to get those fairy energies back in the room. I mean, they're here, but they had to chill off to the side while I went on a little bit of a lecture or rant, if you will. So we have beauty's truth, beauty, physical pleasure, and sensuality. So you could be tapping into that sacral energy with this card being filled with all different versions of orange. You could be also just tapping into that creative energy, that sensuality, that confidence that exudes from the sacral. When it comes to sacral energy, it is not only the energy of sensuality and confidence, it's also the energy of creation. That's why a lot of us earth angels will be celibate for a while. It's so we can build up and channel that energy. So let's see what else we got here. Fairy wishing well, manifestations, expectations, and offerings in reverse. And let's see, one more. Ooh, into the woods. Stranger in a strange land, new experiences, and feeling uncertain. So with these three cards, I'm getting that this has been a challenging, I'm sorry, my ear is ringing. That hasn't happened in a long time. You have been in a rebirth in yourself with the butterfly energy here. I feel that if you haven't released your wings from your chrysalis, you are in there still being developed. You are in the, I'm getting the stage of just being uncomfortable while you grow. This is just, that transformation period. You're starting to unravel things that you've been doing, toxic cycles, toxic energies around you, friend groups, family. You're starting to discern what is needed and what is not. You are also creating in this energy, whether it is through an actual creative outlet, or let's say you love business and you are focusing on understanding businesses so you can create one yourself. That could also be a form of creation. You're creating your knowledge in something so you can create later, which is a business, and that's awesome. But maybe you are having, I feel that you are in the energy to create, but maybe you're a little bit of a perfectionist. I'm getting that with the fairy wishing well, and expectations is what's really coming into my view as of someone who doesn't truly embody confidence in everything that they're doing, or at least how something is being perceived on how it's going. Because a lot of the times we'll be focused on something not working and we'll think, well, this isn't panning out at all, when actually it is. You are in the right spot that you're supposed to be, but rather there might be something that you need to take a pause and look at, which is why you're having this delay. And your manifestations aren't coming in necessarily. You are offering enough. There could be some of you who aren't offering enough in something that you're doing, but it's not necessarily a delay. It could be just that maybe you need to change or pivot in the things that you are investing in. Like, let's say you have 3 things going on. 2 of those things are slowly working out and you haven't really developed that 3rd thing that you want to do, so you could pivot and work on that 3rd thing and then put those other 2 on the back burner for now, as they are seeming to be at a pause. You could also need a pause yourself to recollect yourself and come up with more ideas, or even have ideas come in, downloads from the Most High or the universe, however you see it. But With all of this, you are in strange lands, into the woods, stranger in a strange land, new experiences, feeling uncertain. And see, that's exactly what I was talking about, is you are just now coming into your confidence, and you're having a hard time truly feeling certain about the way that you are going. And that transition zone is like, because it also has transition zone on here, is immediately when I think of the chrysalis. You are transitioning into a butterfly, but you are still in the stages where you're uncomfortable with this change. You are also maybe at a standstill with certain things that involve this change, just certain like things that you need to evolve are not necessarily coming in. Like there's not a clicking sensation with certain ideals. But there's nothing wrong with that. This is not a race, so please don't think that you were supposed to hurry and transform. You should enjoy the ride. You should never expect to only be focused on the destination. That's where you sell yourself short, because the ride is really what we want to experience. This is a human experience. Even with us being earth angels, we are here to experience human life, human experiences. So even in the most uncomfortable situations, we should feel excited, at least like at the highest expectation. But like, you know, we're not always going to be excited for certain things to change, but like the more we start thinking that way, the easier these changes just seem to come and go, or at least it feels like that. You know, when they say time flies by when you're having fun, think of it like that. All right, so let's see. I have this Cosmic Insights deck. I just want to see if we can get some extra clarity on these 3 cards. All right, what do we got here? And we have give it time, everything in divine timing. Wait, everything in divine timing. I don't know why it says that. Everything is in divine timing. Let things flow. So maybe this is going with that restless energy of feeling like you are being like you're in that perfectionist energy. You may feel like you are on a time limit, but that's what I was saying. This isn't something that you should rush. Oh my gosh, no. You should be more inclined to taking things slow baby steps. If there are some things that you feel like you can fast forward through, like just certain lessons, or you know, like I said, it clicks and you know, you just end up running through a lesson, like you know, when you're in math and certain formulas just don't click, but eventually you know, you realize, oh, I should have been doing it this way. It's just like that. Give yourself time, so then you know, when things start to click, you know, you run through it. You might even just been like, dang, I kind of enjoyed that. I wish I would have had a slow button to slow that down. You may appreciate these things that are moving slowly. And also, like I said, the universe could be slowing you down so you can have that be your guide, or so you can understand that point of view. So let's see. I'll just take this one. Distance. You and your partner may be physically or emotionally distant. And this was in reverse, so there isn't any emotional or physical distance between you and someone else. I can even see this being you and your destiny, you and your manifestations. If you're manifesting a person, then this could definitely apply. But I'm getting this more of manifesting in general, the things that you want to come into your life. They're not very far. They may feel distant, but think of it always like this. When things start to get harder, that's when you know it's literally around the corner. But divine timing, right? Ooh. And lastly, we have gambling, problems with addiction, or gambling, bad finances. So, what I'm getting is the addiction to perfection. You could be working through that, accepting the imperfections and the little things. I honestly take that back to animation. You know, we see things very, everything is so high quality, so just, you know, vibrant, beautiful. It doesn't take away from the artists who are doing art now, but a lot of us go back to cell animations, especially those who really dive deep in the animated specter of entertainment, and they see the way that we used to draw everything on paper, with just our pencils, paint, and um, our skills with no undo button. We would enjoy the little bits of imperfections, especially when it got past the 80s, in the 90s and 2000s. A lot of imperfections brought out the most expressive art, the most expressive animations, especially in the actual facial expressions of characters. There have been a lot of times where I've noticed that a certain a certain je ne sais quoi about a certain expression, and that was only because of the um just the way that the human is able to depict something without the digital. Like, I don't really know how to describe it in actual terms, but if you are an artist, or if you happen to watch a lot of commentary on the animated specter, you know what I'm talking about. There, I wish I had like a example. um yeah, I just don't have an example right now. I'm thinking Ed, Edd n Eddy, but I would have to pull a certain episode, you know, for you to really understand. But like, that is what I'm talking about. Back then, when, you know, it was just your hand, and the way that you were able to put out certain. I'm rambling. I'm gonna just move on. But tell me y'all know what I'm talking about. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull some tarot from this. Um, Maybe we can get a little bit of an explanation of what's going on here. It's really just giving you and yourself. You're really out here not fighting with yourself, but you're almost having a conversation with you and who you are. Yeah, look at this. Six of Pentacles and the Death card. During this transformation, there is a back and forth, a reciprocity, a call and respond type of energy here, where you are maybe even talking to your inner child, and you're like, hey, we need to address this, we need to work on this right here, and move past it, or we need to work on this right here and help it grow into something. So we have the beauty's truth, beauty, physical pleasure, and sensuality. With give it time, everything is in divine timing. Let things flow. And with the let things flow, and we were talking about the perfectionism, the expectations, we have Queen of Cups in reverse. So this is someone who is not able to see through the waters clearly. I'm getting someone who isn't having faith in their intuition. They're almost mainly diving in with a lack of emotion, more logic than the heart. Oh my. I'm gonna take them all. And this could be causing frustration in your work. Um, and it's blocking your forward movement, because you right here with the Six of Swords, you have the ability to sail into clearer waters, but it must start with tuning into the waters themselves. Doing your best to, because the Ten of Cups is here, there's no fulfillment here, there's no happy ending, and this is due to not letting things flow. Almost stopping yourself from living life because you're too focused on how this is going to work, what's exactly going to pan out, how are we going to get to this, or what even is this at the end. And it's like, no, just let it go, let it flow. As long as you feel good with the way that you're going, that's your intuition right there. When you are in a high vibration, it's because you are moving in the direction that your heart is guiding you to. So let's say you are working a job that makes you feel when you wake up. Um, that right there is telling you this isn't my calling. And if you're not working to change your environment, eventually you will feel like you're stuck in a dead end job, or that you aren't going to go anywhere, or you're not going anywhere right now. And that in itself will cause you to have anxiety every day before you go to work, will have you feeling humdrum and a lack of energy, because you are in a place where you feel stuck. And you're not putting your emotion into it. It's almost just like your brain is off during the time that you're at work, because you don't connect with the work that you're doing. And that was always a thing for me. Even if I worked a 9 to 5, I always chose certain businesses that had, at least from the outside, a certain integrity to it, a certain feeling. I love to make people feel like they were coming into Disneyland, that they were being transported to another space, another headspace, especially with shopping. Um, I, just to give you a background, I worked at Jamba Juice, that has a very happy-go-lucky type of energy, and I thrived in that. I loved making people feel happy, even though it didn't always turn out that way. Me being a teenager, straight out of high school, I wasn't tempered a lot of the time. So it took a lot of me to understand that not only was I eventually growing out of that, but I also was not seeing the job in a light that I should have been seeing it. And eventually I ended up understanding that I just wanted to help people, and that was the thing that made me happy, thus making my job a lot more easier, because I was focused on that rather than focused on the complaining customers, the people coming in with their own issues, and me absorbing that as an empath. Just different things, even certain like coworkers not pulling their weight. A lot of that does hinder you, but if you're focused on your own lane, you're not affected by a lot of that. Um, Even with the next job that I moved to, which was a baby store, that in itself was just well, first of all, I wasn't working a job with a sense of urgency. There was a sense of urgency, but it wasn't in the sense of trying to get things done quickly, fast food type of job. It was more laid back. You got to talk to the guests. You got to understand what was going on in their lives as a baby stuff. And like, there was just so many times where I felt very much happy to have those conversations with people and like hang out and get to know them. And when I was done with the job and they loved the things that I would pick out, there was that, it was just like an exchange. I was very, very happy to help them, and they were very, very much happy with what I got, which gave me like my own, like, dang, like I'm doing my job. And with the ambiance, baby stuff just makes you happy. People celebrating births makes you happy, or at least like for me, that all added up to how I felt about the job. And that's what I mean. You got to be specific on how you pick out your jobs. Working at like Popeyes, if you don't want to be surrounded by fast food, like I know jobs are hard to find out here, but like if you're not happy or you don't set yourself up to be like, okay, I'm working here, but eventually I want to move onto something else that's more my style, you will feel pessimistic about the job really, really quickly. So like that's also a thing. You got to have a game plan of what you want to do, especially if you don't land in the environment that you wanted to start at. um and like I'm reading here, it makes you feel emotionally unfulfilled. It makes you feel like you're leading less with your heart and more with your brain, and even your brain isn't feeling fulfilled. Like you're putting in all this work with the Eight of Pentacles and not feeling like you're receiving that back. So having these conversations with ourselves to understand not only our perception and how we see our jobs, but the jobs that we choose can really change the way that we feel about when we get up in the morning and we go to work. And we have Temperance reverse, so that that's bringing on that lack of balance. You have to find balance. This balance here not only helps you have balance in yourself, but you're healing your inner child as well, because they're also having some sort of fulfillment in the life that they expected to have as an adult, as a kid. So that's another thing too that we have to slowly start to focus on, especially as earth angels, when we are trying to break out of the chrysalis of the shadow, is what used to excite us about adulthood as children. And yes, we are painted a very high saturated version of it with the toys that we're given and the way that we are told that life is through the media, TV, stuff like that, or the way our parents lived, because we're not going to live the same life as our parents, and we don't learn at that time to learn to what not to do from our parents. We're just mimicking everything. This is what we're learning to undo. And like I said, this could also be a way that your parents lived your life, lived their lives, is to just get whatever job makes money and worry about the money, don't worry about the job. Like at least you're getting paid. That you have to break that mindset, because there's no creation in doing what others think that life should be, instead of living the life that you think it should be and what happiness is to you. It completely severs that connection to your sacral, to your creative flow. And that's your source as light workers. And we have Knight of Wands landing on the Ten of Cups. So this unfulfillment could be self-sabotaging, because we're focused on what we were told as kids. There's no balance here, and it's self-sabotaging the things that we're creating, even if it's creating things to be done at the job, So yeah, this is the conversation that you're having with that distance card, with yourself, that you're having a close conversation about your manifestations, your expectations with yourself. And I feel that there's, with this High Priestess coming out, underneath, I'm gonna look at these in a second, underneath the Temperance in reverse is you're it's like you feel that imbalance deep into your soul, in your gut, specifically in your gut, because that's your solar plexus, and that's how we tell as light workers, or as psychics, as intuitives, when something is wrong. We don't feel balanced in our body. There's something off. We're having headaches all the time, or we just have this constant anxiety of the next thing. I learned very quickly that my constant anxiety only stemmed from the amount of things that I created that I didn't even want in my life. And it was relationships. It was it was the jobs I chose. Even though the jobs I chose were able to satisfy that need to help people, it wasn't the exact place where I wanted to help people. And I didn't have, this is why I'm telling you guys, I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have a plan on what I wanted to do. I was diving into different things that made me happy, but I wasn't even able to create as much as I wanted to because I wasn't even putting time towards it. And that was only due to the fact of me thinking, oh, I'm too tired for this, or I don't have enough time, when I had all the time in the world. But I spent my time scrolling. I spent my time not focusing on things that actually made me happy and not asking myself what made me happy. Eight of Cups reversed, Eight of Swords reversed, Seven of Wands. 887 could be significant, but I'm getting you're avoidant of something, which could be this addiction to being a perfectionist, which causes you to procrastinate on certain tasks, on certain desires. You're coming into an understanding of that. Eight of Swords, you're not in a mental prison about it. And Seven of Wands, you're also being vulnerable about this rather than ignoring it. Or at least you are understanding that you're avoiding it. Take it as it resonates. So let's see. And then there's this lack of cooperation. I feel like this is your inner child asking you to sync up with it. I wanted to say her, but her or him. Sync up with it, with your inner child. Work with your inner child. If you have to, envision yourself in a room with, I usually do 3 stages of myself. The self when I started to barely create a thought and I thought I knew what life was, so around like 5, 6, 7. The self where I started to emotionally think what life was, so like, you know, your tweens, 13. And then the self that started to have dreams, that's the 15s to 17s. And I sit myself in a white room and I just like, I look at myself and I ask myself, how am I doing? What do you guys expect out of life? What did you expect out of life? And not all of the things that your inner children or your inner child can tell you is going to realistically be something that you believe now, or that is aligning with what you have been trying to manifest, your desires currently, that are actually centered and grounded in reality. Because even though we are beautiful otherworldly beings, we're still in reality. And that is the other balance too, is not living in the ethers too much to where you lose reality, because all of this is connected at the end of the day. So you sit yourself in a room with yourselves and you ask, you know, like at the end of the day, what is our desire? Is it art? Is it science? Is it grammar, English? Do I want to write? Do I want to sing? Do I want to speak passionately about something? What do I want to do that satisfies my heart, that makes me fulfilled, that will flip this 10 of Cups reverse to an upright? That definitely is going to help. But also, what am I okay with not coming in the exact way I want it to? And does it matter if it does? What can I go with the flow with? And that is going back to that, taking off the rose-colored glasses, what I was just talking about, being realistic. 6 of Cups in reverse. That is seeing things for what they are, seeing this addiction for what it is, seeing this uncertainty, this thing that you're uncertain about, what your new experiences for what they are, which are experiences that are going to better you and that aren't going to come in perfect and that aren't going to come in and completely just satisfy you without you putting in the work. um, the things that you used to dream about, but you realize that this isn't necessarily my dream anymore. Just like all of the things coming out of this conversation with your inner child, what are your desires? What do you desire? And what would make you happy? Forget the money. The money is only an exchange of energy. It isn't necessarily what you want. I mean, some people say they want money, but it's like if you ask them what would they do with the money, that's what you want. And that's how you should frame your mind, rather than thinking about, oh, I want to be a millionaire. You can be a millionaire, but you have to worry about your spending habits. A lot of us could be a millionaire if we really worked on understanding how saving can really, change your life. Saving up 10,000 and putting it in a compound bank account. I'm not a financial advisor, but just that's just an example of something I know I want to do. That could save you so many years of working so hard and thinking that you're not getting anything out of it, because that money is increasing based on the percentage of the compound bank that you would go to. That's just an example of something that you could do, investing your money and sitting on it, rather than spending all the time or thinking that you're going to get this crazy lump sum like it's the lottery. No, you have to be smart. You have to think about what you're going to do with your money, how you're going to double it, triple it. Investing in yourself is a lot of the way that people end up making a lot of money. Even the smallest idea can make a huge difference, because it's an idea that you could only come up with, especially if you're really digging deep into your soul and into your creative source. So this is all going back to the sacral. This is all going back to how you perceive an idea, and not allowing perfections to stop you from just actually making it happen. I'm gonna stop rambling, get these 3 cards out. Ooh. Eight of Wands. And what I get with the 6 of Cups in reverse, that veil that gets lifted, those rose-colored glasses that get ripped off and thrown to the side, creates forward movement. It creates fast communication to yourself, that you see what you want to invest in, you're following your heart, and that's excelling you. I'm also getting from this maybe travel. You could want to travel in your expertise. Like you could want to go all around the world and speak, or work with a lot of artists around the world, whether that's singing, actual art, like we were speaking of before. I could be talking to artists with me going in that realm of animation. But yeah, a lot of just diving into it with all of this, like the colors, how they're coming in right now, focusing on your emotions and your heart, with the green coming in here a little bit. Actually, honestly, a lot. It's a lot of blues and greens. You're focusing on your intuition, and your heart can push you into that creative energy, that the oranges that I'm seeing here, even your root, which has a lot to do with your financial situation. Five of Cups. So with the 6 of Cups, taking off those rose-colored glasses of these experiences, this feeling of understanding yourself can bring you a little bit of sadness, because you feel like you've wasted time focusing on the wrong things. But try not to dwell into that energy very much, that regret, that grief, because there's no need for that. You know now what you didn't know before. So what does it matter about the past? And that's the thing. You should really focus on being in the present more instead of thinking of the future, which is your plans on how you're going to get where and where you're going to get what. Like that honestly causes it can cause you to be impulsive. And then living in the past, that's anxiety right there. That's all just thinking of what ifs and I could have did, but it's like none of that matters now. I'm here, and what am I going to do now? But it's okay to dwell in that, even just a little bit, but just don't allow it to, we're having the Eight of Swords come back out again. Don't let that get you in your head, or even how this forward movement is going to go. This is underneath the gambling, the addictions, the problems with addictions. It also says gambling and bad finances, but I don't necessarily think that is you. I'm getting it more of the actual like gambling with yourself, in the wrong ways through perfectionism. Yeah. Trying to navigate how you're going to get through this strange land that you've never been to, even though you don't even know where to start. You've never been here before. So how are you going to plan? Like, you're driving yourself nuts trying to plan something that you just obviously can't, because you don't know how to, like, where you're going, what's at the end of it. Honestly, you should just be excited that you are in a new space, learning as you go, learning the trail, learning the beautiful trees, learning how nature flows, and going with the flow. That goes back to that give it time. You have to give these things time. You have to give yourself time to heal certain aspects of yourself, so you can open up your heart, so you can open up your mind and feel more rather than thinking everything through. I am telling you that eventually you're able to almost use logic with your intuition simultaneously when you build that up, because you already built up thinking. You're probably, like, with all this, you're an overthinker. You are someone who thinks of things so deeply, and that can be a blessing in itself, but it can also mess up how you see things, because you're so focused on, like, if I don't know this detail, then I don't know what's going to happen, therefore I'm stuck in my ego fearing of what could happen, and thus I don't move, I'm stagnant. And that's not the way to live life. You want to make those mistakes, you want to learn from those mistakes, so you, one, not do them again, and two, are able to absorb the lessons in those mistakes. So this is very much giving your desires, your manifestations. I'm not getting love in this reading in particular. So I'm getting that this is a message from the fairies that you really should just focus on yourself right now. And as you're focusing on yourself, give yourself patience. Understand that this is a road that you've never been down before, and that you should expect the unexpected and expect it to be beautiful, even in its rustic, darker toned colors. There's going to be some contrast, as they call it, but don't expect that contrast to just be a very sad, frustrating time. It's all about how you see it. If you take everything as a challenge and you're just like, I'm ready for whatever comes in, then you will be a lot more, you will have a lot more fun with this. So I think this is going to conclude the reading. If this was a little tough, a little bit of tough love, just know that you will be okay. I've already been through this and am still awakening. The awakenings never stop. The ascension never stops. It does get a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, it gets more manageable and it gets more exciting. If you are able to get the ability to remote view, I've remote viewed before. I have seen miracles. I have seen things come in at the last minute I didn't even expect. I have seen visions of what I thought was not true and ended up being true. I have seen things play out that I never thought I would see. And it is beautiful, as eye-opening as it is. And the tears never stop falling, but they always end up turning into joyful tears. And for those who are going through spiritual attacks, or even just, the earthly attacks, hang in there. It only affects you if you let it. And for those who are experiencing others who are ganging up on you, they needed to gang up on you. They needed to gather themselves into a little group so they could be stronger. And they're still not strong enough to defeat you, because you're still here and you're still pushing forward and you're still looking for material to give you confirmation and to move you forward. So never forget that. Never forget that you are stronger than the average bear, and that you are okay because you're here. Fairy message. Oh, and I have another deck at the bottom, and it says Clover on it, which is a this is a deck that I made, and I made that card for luck. So that's just telling me right now that you have luck on your side, so don't worry. All right, so the fairies say, we fairies connect so easily when you're filled with laughter and joy, but we understand when you feel sad. We send fairy hugs and sweet lullabies, all to make you smile again. So even the fairies are on the same side as me on this. They know that you're going to feel those feelings, but know that there is a brighter side when you shift your perspective, and that it makes it easier to connect, to produce, to manifest. That is the manifestation energy, is when you're in a high vibration, but it is okay when you're always not. My name is Prism, P-Chan or PZ, and this has been a reading for the collective. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and if this resonated with you, leave a comment or a like, and I'll see you next time.